On the day I was finally allowed to leave the hospital, Alex still hadn't come to see me. He didn't visit once during my entire stay. My car was still at the repair shop from the accident, so I had to take a taxi back to our apartment. When I got to the front door, I stood there fumbling with my keys, but the lock wouldn't turn. No matter how many times I tried, it was no use. I had no other choice but to call Alex. When he picked up, it wasn't his voice I heard, but Chloe's, the woman he'd always had a soft spot for. "Is that Clara? Alex is in the shower," she said. Before I could even get a word out, I heard a click, and the door swung open from the inside. Chloe stood there, greeting me with a wide, generous smile as if nothing was out of the ordinary, telling me to come in. "Clara, it's all my fault," she began. "I have such a bad memory I can never remember passwords, so Alex changed it to my birthday. You didn't know, did you? I'll write it down for you." She was wearing a new, black, semi-sheer nightgown, and her hair was still damp, clinging to her chest and making the thin fabric see-through. Just then, Alex walked out of the master bedroom with one towel wrapped around his waist and another in his hands, drying his hair. In the past, if I had found them at home alone like this, both fresh from a shower, I would have lost my temper and started a huge fight with him. This time, however, I just gave a small nod and wheeled my suitcase inside. Seeing that I wasn't angry, Alex dropped the towel and offered an explanation that only made everything seem more obvious. "Chloe's voltage regulator broke, so she's been staying with us for a few days. Don't get the wrong idea." As I looked at him, all I could think about was the day of the accident, how he had been in such a rush to run after Chloe that he didn't even seem to notice I'd been hit by a car trying to follow him, an accident that almost killed me. In that single moment, any love I had left for him just evaporated. "I'm not getting the wrong idea," I said, not breaking my stride as I dragged my suitcase toward the bedroom. "Chloe's family is all overseas," he continued, following me. "It's not safe for a girl to be on her own. We grew up together. If I don't look out for her, who will?" I listened quietly until he was finished. He had probably forgotten that I hadn't spoken to my own family in 3 years. All for him. If Chloe had it tough, what did that make my situation? "I told you I'm not misunderstanding," I repeated as he stood in my way, forcing me to stop. "Clara, you've had an attitude since the moment you walked in," he said, his voice rising. "I'm trying to explain, and you won't even listen properly." "What is it that you want?" He kept talking, grabbing my arm. I had run out of patience. I shoved him away and said coldly, "I told you, I'm really not misunderstanding anything. The fracture in my hand wasn't fully healed and a sharp pain shot through my arm," forcing me to let go of my suitcase. It hit the floor with a heavy thud. He flicked on the bedroom light, revealing a pile of men's and women's clothing tangled together on the bed. Alex looked startled, as if he'd just woken up from a dream, and quickly scooped up the clothes. "We accidentally got these wet earlier, so we just left them here to dry. Don't overthink it." I looked around the messy room. It was in such a state of disarray there was nowhere to even put my feet. After a non-committal I turned and walked into the spare bedroom. Once I finished my shower and came out, my dad called. "Clara, I'm glad you finally come to your senses," he said. "Your mom and I are getting older and you're our only child. You refused to come home and take over the family business for 3 years because of that man. You have no idea how much we've missed you. If he really cared about you, that would be one thing, but after all this time, he still hasn't even properly introduced you to his family and friends. It's obvious he was never as serious about you as you claimed. Since you've decided to come back, how about we set the wedding for a month from now?" Hearing my father's words left me stunned for a moment. In the past, whenever he said things like that, I would get defensive, convinced he was just looking down on Alex because he wasn't wealthy. I would argue back, telling him how much Alex and I loved each other. This time, though, I couldn't bring myself to say a word in protest. "Okay," I finally said. "I can wait until after Professor Miller's birthday dinner to leave. As for the wedding, you can make the arrangements." Just as I hung up, I heard footsteps outside. Alex pushed open the door to the spare room, holding a box of fresh mangoes. He set the fruit on the table, then frowned. "I thought I heard you talking about a wedding just now," he said suspiciously. "I've told you before, since our wedding is postponed, there's no need to rush things." Seeing the anxious look on his face, I calmly replied, "It's not our wedding. It's for a relative. They asked me to help with the planning." At this, Alex visibly relaxed. He opened the box of mangoes and brought up Chloe, his face lighting up. Chloe was worried you'd be upset, so she's already moved into a hotel. She specifically asked me to bring you these fresh mangoes as an apology. I didn't say anything. A flash of annoyance crossed Alex's face. Clara, that's enough. You need to know when to let things go. Dragging this out isn't going to help anyone. I let out a laugh. After all these years together, you still don't know I'm allergic to mangoes? With that, I turned to find the hairdryer. Alex followed me, opening his mouth a few times as if he wanted to say something, but he stayed silent. He used to remember everything I couldn't eat, every anniversary we celebrated. The first time I had an allergic reaction to a mango dessert, he stayed by my side at the hospital all night, pacing back and forth with worry. He hadn't forgotten, he just didn't love me anymore. Without looking at him, I took out the medication the doctor had given me and started changing the dressing on my wound myself. When he saw the scars covering my body, a flicker of guilt crossed his face. He picked up a cotton swab, intending to help me apply the ointment. I was about to tell him not to bother when his phone rang. It was Chloe, her voice weak on the other end. Alex, I think I ate something bad. My stomach hurts so much and I'm breaking out in a cold sweat. Can you please come over and bring me some medicine? Hearing this, Alex shot up from his seat. Don't panic, I'll be right there. Just lie down and don't move. After hanging up, he turned to me and said earnestly, Clara, Chloe's having a bad stomach episode. I need to go check on her. I swear there's nothing going on between us. If there were, it would have happened by now. Please stop being angry with me over this. Before I could even respond, he was already out the door, knocking over the medicine bottles on the table and spilling their contents everywhere. Looking at the now empty and silent apartment and the firmly closed door, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. In the past, whenever anything involving Chloe happened, he would act completely out of character, and I would become a nervous wreck. He always told me I didn't trust him enough. Well, now he could rest easy. I would never doubt him again. After that day, Alex never came home. Chloe, however, was constantly updating her social media, posting about how happy she was spending time alone with him. I quietly blocked her on all my apps. I watched the numbers on the new digital countdown clock I'd bought tick down. 20 days left. I started getting my resignation in order. My main project was in its final stages, but I wanted to make sure I left everything tied up neatly. The general manager looked at my resignation letter, which mentioned I was leaving to get married, and joked that it was better to have a wedding late than never. I looked down for a moment, then smiled brightly. It's not a wedding with him, I said. The manager looked surprised and then sighed with a hint of regret. The next few weeks were a blur of handing over my work responsibilities. It wasn't until a couple of days after my last day at the office that I suddenly had nothing to do. I glanced at the countdown clock. Only 5 days remaining. I felt a little dazed. I patted my cheeks to snap myself out of it and started packing up my life. Alex and I had been together for a long time, and I loved taking pictures. We had photos of us all over the apartment, with more stored on my camera and computer. Besides the pictures, I had kept every gift box from the presents I'd given him for his birthdays over the years, partly as keepsakes, and partly to make sure I didn't accidentally give him the same thing twice. And then there were the love letters he wrote me when we first got together. Looking at all these things still made my chest feel heavy. We really had been happy once. Back then, I never wanted to miss a single moment with him, and he would pour all his energy into me. Sometimes he'd look at the photos and tease me, "You take so many pictures. Don't you ever get tired of looking at me?" I'd joke back, "Who knows? Maybe one day I will, and I'll just quietly leave and break your heart." He would pinch my cheek, and I'd laugh and fall back onto the sofa dramatically. "Ah, you've shattered my heart. Look what's inside. Oh, it's just you." And we would both burst out laughing. So many years had passed, and I still wasn't tired of him. But he was already tired of me. After looking through everything one last time, I carried it all to the bathroom and burned it piece by piece. I flushed the ashes down the toilet. The past was gone, leaving nothing behind. Time went by quickly. Alex still hadn't come back. I spent my last few days cleaning the apartment and packing my belongings until there was no trace of me left in our home. Seeing the number 2 on the countdown clock, I grabbed my keys and went out to buy a gift for Professor Miller. Professor Miller taught a general education course at our university, and was the one who had, in a way, brought Alex and me together. I spent a long time at the mall before finally choosing a jade pendant. They say jade can protect you from harm. The professor was getting older, and I hoped he would stay healthy and safe. Professor Miller's birthday was on my last day in the city. The next morning, I would be on a plane home to get married. The night before, Alex had sent me a text saying he might not be able to come back because of work. I didn't reply. A little later, he called, his voice angry. If you're unhappy, why don't you just say it? Why would you secretly have someone go after Chloe at her job? Go and apologize to her. Chloe is a forgiving person. She won't hold it against you. I found it laughable. After all these years, he really thought I was the kind of person who would do something so petty and underhanded. I hung up on him. A text came through immediately after. Clara, you've gone too far. I really don't understand how a perfectly good person could change so much. I met Alex in Professor Miller's class. One day, a lot of students hadn't done the homework, and Alex was one of them. The professor was furious and made everyone who hadn't finished stand up. As he walked past us, he gave us a funny look. You two sit together every day. Are you dating? How is it that you did your homework but you didn't make sure your partner did his? We both blushed. Back then, I never could have imagined I would end up wasting so many years on him. Pushing those thoughts away, I knocked on Professor Miller's door. He greeted me warmly and pulled me inside. When I told him I had quit my job and was moving back home for an arranged marriage, he was shocked. He pushed his glasses up his nose and asked, "Does Alex know about this?" "We're not right for each other," I said, not wanting to go into detail. Professor Miller sighed. "Clara, I know you're a good person, and there are some things you wouldn't tell an old man like me. We heard a little about what happened at the wedding. It was Alex who let you down, wasn't it? I actually invited him here today, hoping I could help you two talk things out, but since you've made your decision, I won't say any more. It's his loss." For Alex, I had cut off all contact with my family. Even when I was sick in the hospital, I didn't have a single friend or relative there to look after me. I didn't cry then. When Alex blamed me after the car accident that nearly killed me, I didn't cry either. But now, hearing the professor's kind words, tears suddenly started to stream down my face. "Professor, please take care of yourself. You're always welcome to visit my family if you get the chance. As for Alex, the person he wants to marry probably isn't me." I didn't want to talk about it anymore. After a few more minutes of pleasantries, I was about to leave when the doorbell rang. Alex appeared at the door with Chloe by his side. You know, Chloe was saying to him, "When it comes to travel, it's so much better when you're with someone fun. Thank you for taking the time to come with me and cheer me up." They were holding hands, their fingers laced together. When Alex saw I was there, he quickly dropped her hand. "Clara's here too," he said. "Don't misunderstand. We were just excited. We've been out together the past few days. You must have been bored at home alone. We'll invite you next time." Hearing Chloe's words, Alex calmly pulled her behind him, as if he was afraid I might hurt her. I just smiled to myself. In the past, this would have torn me apart, but it didn't matter now. I didn't love him anymore. During the meal, he focused all his attention on Chloe, barely even looking at me. He peeled shrimp for her and wrapped her slices of Peking duck in pancakes. They were so close and intimate, anyone watching would have thought they were a sweet couple. Even Professor Miller couldn't take it anymore. Finally, he slammed his chopsticks down on the table. "Alex, Clara is still sitting right here. How can you be so familiar with another woman in front of her?" "You're going too far." Chloe immediately sat up straight, pursed her lips, and wiped her mouth with a napkin. "Professor, please don't be angry. Alex and I grew up together, so we're just a little closer than most people." "I'll get it myself, Alex," she said, an awkward look on her face. Alex just casually put another piece of food on her plate. "You're not doing anything wrong. Hurry up and eat." Professor Miller just got angrier. "I don't have a student like you," he huffed, looking at Alex with disapproval. "You're acting this way with someone else right in front of Clara. How do you think that makes her feel? Aren't you afraid you'll really hurt her and never be able to make it up to her?" Alex just scoffed. "The wedding didn't happen. We never got a marriage license, and she's blocked me on everything. How am I supposed to make it up to her?" "Keep acting like this, and when Clara marries someone else, you'll be sorry," the professor said. I tugged on the professor's sleeve and shook my head slightly, and he finally fell silent. Alex had a smug look on his face. "How old are you, still running to the teacher? I already told you I'm not refusing to marry you, just postponing it. What's the big rush? Are you that desperate to get married?" I looked up at him and laughed. "You're right. I am afraid I won't be able to get married. But what does that have to do with you? Even if I never get married, I wouldn't marry you. As the tension in the room grew, Chloe quickly poured a cup of hot tea. Clara, I know you're a bit older than us, and it might be harder for us to connect, but I really do think of you as a sister. Please, you and Alex shouldn't fight because of me anymore. I'll use this tea instead of wine to apologize to you. As she spoke, she lifted the cup to her lips, but the heat must have surprised her. The tea spilled all over her, and she cried out, clutching her arm. Alex frantically started looking for burn cream to help her. In that moment, I saw the same Alex who had once loved me so deeply. Before I could even process what was happening, Alex's angry voice cut through the air. Clara, I am so disappointed in you. He stormed out of the room, and I left soon after, getting into a taxi to the airport while the professor sighed behind me. In the car, Alex called. Just as he started to speak, I could hear Chloe's pained cries in the background. Be gentle with her, he said anxiously into the phone, clearly talking to someone else. She's terrified of pain, so please be careful. After about 30 seconds, he seemed to remember I was still on the line. Clara, if you still want to make this work, you need to apologize to Chloe right now. She got hurt because she felt so guilty. To this day, I still don't understand what I did wrong, or why so many things that made no sense were blamed on me. I looked at the scar on my arm from the car accident, and all the frustration and disappointment from the past few weeks just boiled over. Alex, I said calmly, let's not see each other again. Since you're so aware that we never got a marriage license, let's just break up. The final boarding call for my flight announced over the airport speakers. I didn't give him a chance to reply. I just turned off my phone. After I boarded the plane, I found my seat and immediately fell into a deep sleep. I had a long dream that replayed all my years with Alex, from the sweet beginning to the slow, painful drift apart after Chloe came back into his life. I was woken up by the boy sitting next to me. Do you need a tissue? He asked, pointing to my face. It was only then that I realized I had been crying. I'm okay, thank you, I said with a small smile. Before long, the plane landed in a different city, a city without Alex. As I walked toward the exit, I saw my father waiting to pick me up. He had brought several of his assistants with him, and as soon as they saw me, they took all of my bags. His eyes were red as he patted my arm. You've been through a lot, he said, his voice hoarse. Dad, I managed to say. His whole body trembled for a second, as if he might lose his balance. Then he just nodded and turned to walk ahead. Watching him walk away, I finally understood that my father had gotten old. When we got home, my mother took my hands and looked them over and over. How did you get so many scars? Why don't you take better care of yourself? It breaks my heart to see this. I'm okay, Mom. But from the day of the accident until now, Alex had never once asked if I was in pain. A wave of sadness washed over me, and I looked down, my nose tingling, trying to hide my emotions from my parents. Seeing this, my mother didn't say any more. After a sigh, her mood suddenly brightened. By the way, everything for the wedding tomorrow is almost ready. The wedding dress is in your room. Your groom picked it out himself. I was curious about this man who was willing to marry someone he'd never met, in a flash marriage no less, just like me. But when I asked, my mother just smiled mysteriously. He said he wants to give you the answer himself tomorrow night. I wanted to ask more, but I was so tired I almost fell asleep right there on the sofa. The wound on my back throbbed and I winced. My mom immediately rushed to call the family doctor. When the doctor removed my shirt, exposing my back, the sight of the horrible scars made my mother burst into tears. Old Lou, look at our daughter! Just imagine how much she must have suffered. To keep them from worrying, I had never told them about that terrifying moment. Seeing the pained looks on their faces, I thought about the despair I felt when Alex abandoned me, the car accident, and having to listen to his baseless accusations. With my eyes lowered, I held my mother's hand. Mom, I said, I'll never leave you again. After the doctor checked my wounds again, I finally got to lie down. The soft bed lulled me to sleep, and I didn't wake up until the next day when a maid knocked on my door. After getting ready, I put on a traditional, ornate wedding dress. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, I couldn't help but think about the last year with Alex. His long-lost first love, Chloe, had just come back, and the talk among our friends about when we would finally get married suddenly changed. Chloe's back. Alex might not marry Clara now. I heard the whispers, and it did bother me. That, combined with the pressure from my parents, made me want to rush the wedding just to get it over with. I put so much effort into planning the perfect day, only to be left completely broken. Later, I overheard him talking to someone. "How are the wedding plans going?" the person asked. Alex just stirred his coffee. "It doesn't matter. It's not happening anyway. After all this time, if we were going to get married, we would have done it already. Now that Chloe's back, I have even less reason to marry Clara. I just haven't found the right excuse to call it off yet. For me, marrying him was a dream I'd held onto for years. For him, it was just an act, but I still wanted to take the chance, believing he was just talking and wouldn't actually ruin our wedding, so I pretended I hadn't heard anything and kept planning. Now, thinking about it, my eyes started to get red again. My mom noticed me staring into the mirror and came over, taking my hand. "If you really don't want to do this, it's okay," she said gently. "Your father and I just want you to be happy. Maybe we were too rushed. We just thought since you two have a bit of a history, maybe a mistake could turn into something good. That way, you could finally settle down and stay here with us. We both worry that you'll soften up and go back to that, Alex." Hearing her say that, I wiped my tears away. "Mom, what are you talking about? I want to do this, and I trust your and Dad's judgment." Only after I said that did my mom seem to relax. As I was walking downstairs, my phone started vibrating non-stop. I pulled it out and answered. It was Alex, yelling, "Clara, what is wrong with you? Why are you so stubborn? You acted petty, you did something wrong, and all I'm asking is for you to apologize. Is that really so hard? We've been together for years. Are you still playing these games? Is it necessary?" "Chloe is so upset. I'm giving you until the end of today to apologize to her. If you don't, we are never, ever getting back together." I froze where I stood. My mom had heard every single word. I suddenly felt a pang of guilt. "Alex," my mom said, her voice shaking with anger, "is this how you treat my daughter?" My mom was furious, clenching her teeth. All these years, she had put up with the pain of being separated from me because she thought I was happy. Now she was realizing the miserable life I had been living. On the other end of the phone, Alex went silent. He clearly hadn't expected to hear my mother's voice. Then, it seemed to dawn on him, and a realization hit him that made him tremble. I was really gone. I had traveled thousands of miles to be with my parents. His voice was filled with panic. "Auntie? Why do you have Clara's phone? Where is she?" Then, remembering himself, he tried to explain. "You've misunderstood. It's just that Clara got jealous and went after my friend. I just wanted her to apologize. I was too harsh just now. I was impulsive. Could you please give her the phone?" My mother's voice was ice cold. "My daughter has never gone after anyone. Don't project your own filthy thoughts onto her. As for you, out of respect for the fact that my daughter once loved you, I won't make things hard for you. But don't you ever harass my daughter again, or I'll break your legs." After yelling at him, my mom hung up, wiping tears from her eyes. I walked over and hugged her. "It's okay, Mom. It's all in the past. Growing up means going through things like this." After my mom gave me my phone back, I saw I had a lot of unread messages from friends and former colleagues. They were all asking what was going on, why Alex was calling everyone like a madman, trying to confirm if I was really getting married and to whom. "You wouldn't believe it." One message read, "He's acting like a lunatic, yelling on the phone. He said it was all your fault that things ended up this way, that you couldn't just be happy and had to make trouble and then refuse to apologize." In the past, hearing those words would have made me feel incredibly hurt and angry. I would have called him and demanded to know whose fault it really was, but now none of it seemed to matter. Just then, he called again. His voice was choked with emotion. "If you really don't want to apologize, then forget it. I forgive you. Just stop this whole charade and come back. Let's just go back to how things were." In the past, if he had been willing to say that, I would have been moved to tears. Now I just found it ridiculous. "I'm afraid I can't come back. Today is my wedding day. Don't ruin my peace. If you really think I never officially broke up with you," I continued, "then let me do it now. Alex, stop harassing my friends and colleagues. We are broken up, and I am getting married. As for Chloe, I never told anyone to target her. If you think me being jealous and upset after seeing you two holding hands, kissing in public, staying in the same hotel, and calling off our wedding for her counts as targeting, then fine. I admit it. I felt that way once. but not anymore. I never meant for my mom to hear our call. It was an accident. I thought I had been clear enough, but Alex just let out a soft, mocking laugh. Clara, are you that desperate? This is all just to pressure me into marrying you, isn't it? Fine. Come back now, and I'll marry you. I was speechless. I couldn't even comprehend the kind of person I had loved for so long. He was still so convinced he was right about everything. I had no choice. I sent him the electronic invitation. It clearly stated, Mr. Leo and Miss Clara sincerely invite you and your family to attend their wedding ceremony. The line was silent for a long time. After a moment, I turned off my phone. I was determined to see this through, no matter what kind of person my new husband was. I had agreed to marry him, and I was going to take it seriously. I sat in the bridal suite, waiting. Soon, the groom, Leo, arrived. He knocked on the door and started handing out red envelopes to my bridesmaids. One of them looked at me and then called out, Our bride has a question for you. One of the groomsmen outside quickly answered, Let me. I know the answer. He loves her. He'll only love the bride for the rest of his life. Everyone laughed. The bridesmaid continued, How many relationships has the groom had? Does he know the bride's birthday? After all the questions were answered, the groom's voice came from outside the door. I have a question for the bride, too, the bridesmaid protested. Since when does the groom ask the questions? Do you want to marry her or not? I spoke up. What's the question? The question I want to ask, he said, is, does the bride remember a promise she made to a little boy 15 years ago? My heart skipped. He was talking about something I had almost completely forgotten. 15 years ago, I was seriously ill and had to stay in the hospital for a while. One night, a little boy was put in the bed next to mine. He was terrified of getting shots and was hiding under his blanket, refusing to come out. I was the one who coaxed him out with a piece of candy. If you're a good boy for the doctor, I had told him, I'll give you candy for the rest of your life. I never imagined it was him. Surrounded by the wedding party, I watched as the tall man was ushered into the room. Dressed in a traditional groom's outfit, he was handsome and carried himself with an air of quiet confidence. He and his groomsmen were looking for my hidden shoes. The moment our eyes met, my face grew hot, and I started nervously twisting my fingers. We didn't say a word to each other the entire way to the ceremony, yet there was a strange, fluttering feeling between us. Suddenly, the wedding car came to a stop. A white Porsche was blocking the road. Alex got out. His hair was a mess, and his eyes were bloodshot. He started pounding on the car window. Clara, get out! Do you hear me? You can't marry him! I gave Leo a reassuring look and started to get out of the car myself, but he grabbed my hand. I'll go with you, he smiled. Seeing us holding hands made Alex even more agitated. He let out a roar and lunged toward us. Leo stepped in front of me, blocking him. What do you think you're doing? He asked calmly. Alex glared at Leo with pure hatred. I was worried Leo would get hurt and was trying to think of what to do when Leo said bluntly, I am Clara's husband. This made everyone standing around laugh. Alex seemed to lose his mind. You're her husband? Then what am I? Clara's husband can only be me. She's been chasing me for years. The only one she loves is me. She's just using you to make me jealous. I gently held Leo's hand and looked coldly at Alex. Don't be so delusional. Today is my wedding and Leo is my husband. I won't let him be humiliated or hurt. Alex, you should leave now. Alex looked at me, his face a mask of despair. Clara, I know you're doing this on purpose. I know I was wrong. Come back with me. You can hit me, you can yell at me, whatever you want. I already sent Chloe away. I know it was all my fault, but don't you have any responsibility in this? They say relationships need both people to work at it, to keep things fresh. You were too good to me. I never even thought about the possibility of losing you, so, of course, things got stale. That's why I pulled away. But I never loved anyone else, I swear. I smiled a bitter smile. I know. You hold hands because it's a habit from childhood. You kiss on the street as part of a game. You share a hotel room because you're worried about her being alone. You called off our wedding for her because you two are special and you didn't want her to be sad. You've said all this before. I'm sorry. Alex mumbled. The words I'm sorry are so cheap, I said. You knew these things would hurt me when you did them. What's the point of saying sorry now? Alex couldn't believe I was really breaking up with him. I can't believe it. I took the first flight out here to find you, and I still couldn't stop you from getting married. His eyes were red and he looked completely defeated. In the past, seeing him so heartbroken would have made me give in instantly, but now, all I felt was annoyance. He seemed to remember something and pulled a velvet jewelry box from his pocket. Inside was the engagement ring set I had bought. He had always refused to wear his, and when I left, I had put my own ring back in the box. I never thought he would bring it with him. Clara, do you remember these? I finally see things clearly now. Please, come back with me. As he spoke, he reached for me, but Leo blocked his path again. Leo was taller than him, and his presence was much more imposing. Mr. Leo said, his voice even, I've heard a little about your situation. I'm not going to comment on who was right or wrong, but since it's in the past, please don't dwell on it. Let's just go our separate ways. Alex clenched his fists, ready to swing. My heart jumped into my throat, but before he could do anything, Leo struck him first, a quick, clean punch. Sorry, mister, Leo said, turning back to smile at me. It's a reflex. When I see someone about to throw a punch, I have to beat them to it. Honey, you don't blame me, do you? I smiled back. All right, stop messing around. We're going to be late for the wedding. Let's go. Alex covered his bruised face. Clara? He said, his voice cracking. After all these years, do our feelings really mean less than some guy from an arranged marriage? I stopped and turned back. You know how many years it's been. You know everything I gave up for you. So you should also know what I want most right now. Just let me have this. Those words seemed to stop him in his tracks. I got back in the car with Leo. In the rearview mirror, I saw Alex slump to the ground, crying. I don't know what he was so upset about. He had made all these choices himself. What was there to regret? What mattered was that my future was going to be a happy one. That night, lying in Leo's arms, I felt nothing but peace. There were still a few unread messages on my phone. One was from Alex. He said he was leaving and would never bother me again, and that he hoped I would be happy. 2 years later, I heard about Alex and Chloe from a friend. Apparently, they had some kind of falling out, and Chloe started spreading nasty rumors about him online, even posting his private photos. Alex, furious, confronted her, and she publicly taunted him. What? Are you going to say those pictures, aren't you? You look so proper on the outside, but deep down you're just a creep, aren't you? In a fit of rage, Alex slapped her. You people are disgusting! He yelled. Who's the disgusting one? She shot back. Who's the one who had a fiancé but was still messing around with me? Her words cut him deep. Alex pulled out a fruit knife and stabbed her in the stomach. Luckily, she got to the hospital in time and survived, but Alex's future was ruined. None of that, however, had anything to do with me anymore.